Welcome back, horror fans, cinephiles, and giallo enthusiasts. This is Tanner Leeser, your host for all things giallo here on The King in Giallo. We are continuing our coverage for the only giallo film directed by Giampaolo Lomi and Edoardo Mulargia, Tropic of Cancer, released on September 30th, 1972. In this video, I will give you a condensed version of the full-length overview video covering only the cast and crew and the plot of the movie. Then I'll transition into the GialliTally. The GialliTally will contain heavy spoilers. Here is Tropic of Cancer Overview. Tropic of Cancer, also called Peacock's Place and Death in Haiti, is an Italian production. The film is directed by Giampaolo Lomi and Edoardo Mulargia, billed as Edward G. Muller, who both also co-wrote it along with Antonio de Teffè. Music is composed by Piero Umiliani. The cast is comprised of Antonio de Teffè, billed as Anthony Steffen, as Dr. Williams, Anita Strindberg as Grace Wright, Gabriele Tinti as Fred Wright, Umberto Raho as Philip, and Stelio Candelli as Garner. The plot follows Dr. Williams, a scientist in Haiti who has created a powerful new hallucinogen, something that immediately attracts the attention of criminals and opportunists eager to cash in. When Williams refuses to sell, the situation escalates and a wave of killings begins to spread around him. Meanwhile, his old friend Fred arrives on the island with his wife Grace, hoping that a tropical retreat might help patch up their troubled marriage. Instead, they soon find themselves drawn into the same spiral of greed, danger, and murder that surrounds Williams' deadly discovery. But I digress. On to the GialliTally. Spoilers ahead for those of you who haven't yet seen the film. You've been warned. My prediction for the movie's GialliTally score. In my unscripted review video, I predicted around 775 to 825 points. Well, let's begin the GialliTally portion of the video. Beginning, as always, with the previewing cliches. The repeat offenders are 1 point for actor, 3 for writer, 3 for composer, and 5 for director. Anthony Steffen was in The Crimes of the Black Cat and The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, 2 points. Anita Strindberg was in Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key, Who Saw Her Die, The Two Faces of Fear, The Case of the Scorpion's Tail, and A Lizard in a Woman's Skin, 5 points. Gabriele Tinti was in Death Occurred Last Night, 1 point. Umberto Raho was in The Terror with Cross Eyes, The Crimes of the Black Cat, Amuck, The Legacy of Cain, Oasis of Fear, The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, The Cat O' Nine Tails, and The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, 8 points. Stelio Candelli was in Death Falls Lightly, 1 point. Edoardo Mulargia wrote Night of Violence, 3 points. And Piero Umiliani composed The Fourth Victim, $5 for an August Moon, and Orgasmo, 9 points. Cliché points for the title, Tropic of Cancer. Nothing, no points. First look, 25 points for the Italian director and 15 points for the movie releasing during the golden age of giallo cinema. And would you look at that, it is plot o'clock. Foreign locales, Port-au-Prince, Haiti, 5 points. Airplane, extra if character seen inside or deplaning, 5 points. The opening credits have us follow Stelio Candelli's character as he arrives in Haiti. He is observed by this local man. These tourists arrive on the island as well, played by Anita Strindberg and Gabriele Tinti. This is Fred and Grace Wright. X is for xenophobia, extra points for the main characters being foreigners, 10 points. I know that's kind of a weird one, but there is a lot of xenophobia in this movie. Maybe not blatantly, but it's very exploitative. The Wrights are picked up and driven to their hotel. Once arrived, this ice truck accidentally spills its cargo, which infuriates Fred, who scolds the driver.
Are you blind, you idiot?
Pardon, monsieur.
Are you trying to kill us? You ought to be shot for such stupidity.
Y is for yelling, 5 points. They meet the hotel staff and are ushered inside after Grace trades looks with the driver, Gian Paolo, whom, if all of the posters for this film are any indicator, will certainly not be hooking up together. Z is for zoom, 5 points. Cut to someone stalking up these stairs. First person POV, 5 points. The person spies upon this man, Dr. Williams, played by co-writer and star Anthony Steffen. A ringing phone draws the doctor's attention. T is for telephone, 5 points. A man named Douglas calls, and he sounds like he's in trouble. He's been gone for a month and apologizes and offers to return, quote, the stuff, but requests the doctor's assistance at once. Williams takes off, and the silent stalker here creeps into the room and takes 2 phials of these chemicals. G is for gloves, extra points for them being black, 10 points. Williams exits his estate and walks next door. He enters and calls out to Douglas, but the only answer he receives is a limp arm falling upon him. Extra points for Z is for zoom, for a zoom on a dead body, 5 more points. Douglas is dead. Cut to this man, Mr. Peacock, sitting poolside. Queer character, gay man, 5 points. Animals featured, Peacock, 2 points. N is for nudity, 5 points. Mr. Peacock meets with Garner, and the two discuss the proposition of getting Dr. Williams to sell. Art featured, 5 points. He says Williams is a healer of all things, even animals. Garner mentions putting the pressure on Williams and that his clients will be happy to let the 2 men handle this matter however they deem. They are eager to get their hands on his product. Garner worries that somebody might beat them to it, but Mr. Peacock assuages his fears. All we are told is that it is a powerful hallucinogen with medicinal properties. Exposition dumping, 2 points. Mr. Peacock's driver, Gian Paolo, will chauffeur Garner to his hotel. We watch the car pull out and a stalker approach Peacock's place. Mr. Peacock hears a noise and investigates with a lantern. He edges closer to the sound. One of his beloved peacocks crashes through the window, terrifying him. Animals killed, 5 points. Cut to a cockfight. Animals mutilated, 3 points. Dr. Williams observes as this young man comes in and watches the fight, then exits. Williams follows him into this club. I'll hold off on tallying dancing for now. Williams finds the man, throws the beat down, and asks where Krotz is.
Where's Kratz?
Q is for questions. Extra points for questions being yelled. 10 points. A brawl seems to break out, and the boy takes off. Foot chase. 5 points. Williams pursues him into this room. The boy draws a knife, but Williams is too quick. K is for knives. 5 points. Williams again demands to know where Krotz is, and the boy squeals that he'll be at the Hotel Rancho tomorrow, that he's meeting someone there. Fred and Grace drive through the town. She doesn't understand his fascination with Haiti and reminds him that a marriage on the rocks needs heat, not tourism. She asks about Dr. Williams, and Fred says that he could have it all, but he lets opportunities pass him. They pull up, hoping to find the doctor in, but he's nowhere to be found. They continue, but their Buick is rear-ended. Reckless driving, 5 points. C is for children, 5 points. As Fred confronts the driver, the entire town comes out to gleefully squeeze into the frames for no logical reason.
You're yelling at me.
Please, stop it. Let's get out of here.
Extra points for Y is for yelling, for a hysterical woman yelling. 5 more points. Fred begins arguing with bystanders. Dr. Williams comes out, and this old lady calls him a magician of black magic. Superstitious yokels, 2 points. Williams and Fred are reunited, and again, the entire town has to cram into the frame. This guy is trying to act his ass off. I see. We get this gem of a line here.
Only let's get out of here before I get lynched.
Holy shit. Fred introduces Williams to his wife, Grace. The couple want to get drinks, but Williams has patients to tend to. They invite him to their hotel later, Hotel Rancho. They all agree to meet tonight at the hotel. This local policia calls over Williams. This is the lieutenant, and he says that they'd found Douglas murdered, but that his body was in an anemic condition and was very pale. He says if Williams hears from his assistant Croats to let him know. That night, Williams meets the Wrights. Garner gets bitten by a venomous indigenous spider. They find the culprit, and Williams appears to extract venom from the spider's abdomen using a syringe, which, if you were wondering, is not how that works, as the venom glands are on the fangs, not in the abdomen. He administers what I assume is supposed to be an anti-venom, but again, that's not how that works. He says he hopes that counteracts the poison, but once again, spiders are not poisonous, rather venomous. It's not Dr. Williams' fault that the writers made him incompetent, although Anthony Steffen is one of the writers, so I guess I can say it is his own fault. This man shows up, Philip, played by Umberto Raho. He runs this hotel. He says it is fortunate that Williams acted quickly because those spiders are rare and dangerous. Williams questions how a spider from the deep jungle ended up here at a hotel. Garner invites Dr. Williams and the Wrights to join him and his guests for dinner. Philip seems to watch on, annoyed maybe. Philip says the hotel would love to treat them all. Cut to dinner with Mr. Peacock. The conversation finds its way to spiders, and Garner mentions how Philip had said that Williams is an expert. He explains. He used to study them, but gave it up because his experiments were becoming more dangerous than rewarding. This man wanders in, who takes note of Garner sitting with Dr. Williams. This is Mr. Pratt. Mr. Pratt feigns kindness with Garner, who invites him to dine with them, but Williams stares daggers through him, and so he invites them over to his table after dinner, and departs. Williams notices Mr. Pratt speak with this man, a potential collaborator. Grace asks about voodoo, and Williams explains the roots of it and the relationship of it with the Haitians and Catholicism. They mention how magicians and priests are very similar, and Mr. Peacock adds that among the Haitians, it is next to impossible to know whether any of them are practitioners or not. Williams excuses himself. He asks the concierge for information on whether a guest had called for Croats. As Williams exits the hotel, we see Robin, the woman from the hotel earlier, talking with Gian Paolo, and the two planning a rendezvous later. Williams searches what I assumed was a closed discotheque and finds the dead body of Croats. Williams searches the body and finds a strange object with a red eye painted on it. Odd clue, 5 points. He returns to the hotel to discover Mr. Pratt and the same man speaking now. A dead chicken is brought to their table, which Williams sends away. Mr. Peacock informs the table how a strangled animal in voodoo could be an omen that a witch has sent out an attack against someone. Grace wants to see a voodoo ritual at once, and I guess these are happening every night because they all just leave to go see one. Grace and Gian Paolo catch eyes again. We drop in on a Haitian ritual now. Drums, chanting, and naked dancing abound. Gratuitous 1970s dancing, extra if naked, 5 points. Williams explains how the dances precedes the sacrifice. They will kill a bull, drink its blood, and dissect it. The priest is seen wielding a knife. P is for priest, 5 points. The bull is stabbed, and its blood is collected. Williams says those under the influence of the goddess will drink the blood. Extra points for Z is for a zoom on a knife, 5 more points. Extra points for K is for knives, for the knife being bloodied, 5 more points. The bull is cut up, and the dancers go into a frenzy. I am not sure how much of this is authentic versus if they were just directed to do this, because they seem to be laughing as if they're having a lot of fun, as in, they're playing, and this isn't real. I don't know. Williams notices the boy from earlier, who I think is named Jean-Louis, and watches as he passes out onto the floor. He observes how there's no blood coming out of him, only lymph, just like Douglas's body. He says this could be related to the strange voodoo rites. Later, Dr. Williams arrives home, but is ambushed by Mr. Pratt and his henchman, Murdoch. Williams remains obstinate and refuses to sell to him. He is beaten further. J is for J and B, 5 points. I'll also do F is for fashion, because Mr. Pratt is dressed like a hot dog, 5 points.
You're dressed like a hot dog. So is that guy. Oh no.
Williams still says no, and so Mr. Pratt gives him 48 hours to change his mind, but threatens that Murdoch here doesn't like those who squeal to the police. Later at a clinic, Mr. Peacock tells Dr. Williams that his friend is arriving from Boston who represents a chemical firm, but he still says no. Mr. Peacock brings up the news of Douglas's death, but is interrupted by Williams, who confesses to loving his life here in Haiti and stating that he will do what he must to continue living here. Mr. Peacock breaks the news to Garner, theorizing that Williams must be protecting someone. Garner posits that someone has already gotten to Williams, stating how Krotz and Douglas were Williams' assistants, Krotz has disappeared, and Douglas has been killed. He says Krotz had stolen the serum and that Williams doesn't actually have it. Furthermore, whoever finds Krotz will be able to buy it off of him. Mr. Peacock reminds how Douglas was killed, then that boy, again, I think his name is John Louis, was killed at the voodoo ritual, and that the police suspect that Krotz is also dead. Garner says he'll stay on Williams, while Mr. Peacock looks for Krotz. As Dr. Williams steps out, he is nearly run over by someone who speeds off. Williams hitches a short ride, then runs away on foot. The driver then gets out and chases Williams. Once again, the whole town seems to run along with both of them. The driver is Garner. I love how during the chase, Garner has the entire street, but runs over to this guy in order to push him out of the way. Williams loses Garner through this market. Grace and Fred are out shopping here as well. She remarks how she cannot get over the man she saw die at the voodoo ceremony. They get split up among the shopkeepers trying to peddle their goods. D is for dwarf, 5 points. She cannot find Fred, but Williams finds her. She asks him to go look for Fred, and he goes. This old lady briefly talks about the fertility goddess in this painting, and Grace expresses to Williams how she feels she knows that woman. She asks to be taken back to the hotel, and Williams agrees to take her after he conducts a quick stop. They arrive at a slaughterhouse. Williams goes in, while Grace waits behind. She's invited in to escape the heat. Inside, it's cows being slaughtered. The worker leaves her to enjoy the sights while he attends to something. Just then, Grace sees a dead man, Murdoch, hanging among the slabs of meat. Mr. Pratt speaks with the lieutenant about this man found killed at the slaughterhouse. We learn Murdoch was strangled. Mr. Pratt demands the police find who murdered Murdoch, but the lieutenant advises him to leave Haiti, or if he remains, to not bring any more ruffians around with him. Cut to Robin. She goes into Philip's office, who is on the phone with a man named Pierre, who warns him that the police want to investigate guests at the hotel. She tells him not to worry, that everything will all work out. They smooch. Close up on a door handle or creeping through an ajar door, 5 points. The killer enters Mr. Pratt's room, sneaks up, and garrots him to death. Killer's identity is hidden due to the framing and editing, 2 points. Back in her room, Grace goes to take a shower, but is interrupted by a hotel employee dropping off flowers. Cut again to someone snooping through Dr. Williams' things. It's Fred. Spiral staircase, 5 points. He peruses some more before being knocked to the floor. It's Williams. He chastises Fred for both snooping around and for abandoning his wife at the market earlier. Fred confesses that he was hoping that they could agree to a deal, but again, no deals. Williams shows the stack of letters from hopeful buyers that he has rejected. Fred asks him who else here is interested in buying, besides Mr. Peacock. Williams only tells him to go be with his wife, and Fred storms out. Grace calls and asks for Williams to come to the hotel at once, so he goes to fetch Fred and tell him, but he's already gone. Grace is not responding. We see her in the room as she begins to hallucinate. H is for hallucinations. Assuming this is related to the compound, let's add extra points for it being related to a drug. 10 points. I'll go into this more later, but there's a lot of stuff in this movie that actually is kind of confusing. In her hallucination, she sees the old lady from before and a clutter of spiders. Then she sees a nude Fred and Robin. Grace then runs between a number of naked men who claw at her, then sees a cascade of ice blocks tumble towards her. E is for eyeballs, 5 points. Extra points for Z is for zoom, for a zoom on eyes. 5 more points. Next, she sees Mr. Peacock and a nude boy approach her. Then a bunch of nude women surrounding a nude Dr. Williams. Then, the men clawing at her again, followed by Mr. Peacock laughing hysterically. Finally, she sees a naked Gian Paolo who floats towards her. The two kiss, and their bodies connect. Grace runs into a car, but sees a man. Williams arrives. She passes out, and he carries her back to her room. He notices the flowers, senses the threat, and tosses them out. Mr. Peacock meets with Garner. They briefly discuss Mr. Pratt's murder, and Peacock says he's finished. He's had enough. Garner says he will continue alone then, but threatens that Mr. Peacock better not be double-crossing him. Grace confronts Fred for abandoning her, then he confronts her for running off with Williams. She asks him where he went, but he silences her. Mr. Peacock receives a call. The caller claims to be Krotz and says if Peacock wants to buy the formula, then he must bring $30,000 to the beach. Mr. Peacock waits at the rendezvous location. The killer spies on him, then stalks closer. Peacock wanders around. A voice calls out to him, and Peacock runs for his life. The killer chases.
I wanna see a peacock, cock, cock, your peacock, cock.
The killer catches up, cuts him off, and shoots him with a spear gun. He drops into the mud, and the killer smothers him beneath the water, and he drowns. Williams finds the Wrights in the bar and relays how he'd heard that they are leaving soon. Fred acts all immature and pouty. Grace takes off. Williams asks Fred about his past experience in spearfishing. Fred accuses Williams of trying to enter the picture with his wife and storms off. We watch as Garner searches. He steps out onto this factory floor. The killer starts up one of the machines, then another one. Garner runs up to meet them, but only gets a face full of high-pressure steam. Garner is severely scalded and collapses onto a conveyor belt. The killer turns it on, and Garner is transported into a large industrial vat. He tries to climb out, but the killer attacks him with a metal bar. He tries again and again to climb out, but falls again and again.
Incy Wincy Spider climbed out the water spout. You got it! Down came the rain. Washed the spider out. Come on! Up came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the Incy Wincy Spider climbed up the spout again. Incy Wincy Spider climbed up the water spout. You got it! Down came the rain. Washed the spider out.
The killer closes the lid on him inside, and he is crushed by the compactor. Williams and Grace visit a rum distillery. Williams tells this man, Fritz, that he will be Grace's tour guide. He shows her some of the machines for refining sugarcane and shows her a device used to punish slaves. He briefly turns into his character from the night Evelyn came out of the grave. Grace marvels at Williams, stating that he could be rich and successful however he chooses, yet he decides to languish in this tropical paradise. Williams notices a statue with a missing eye, approaches it, and puts the eye he had found on Krotz's body back into the statue. Once in place, a barrel of rum falls from on high and crashes below. Upstairs, Williams confronts a confused and bewildered worker. He then warns Fritz that he'd better close the place up. Fred returns to find Williams and Grace in bed together. I is for infidelity, 5 points. V is for voyeur, extra points for the voyeur witnessing an act of infidelity, 10 points. Necking, 5 points. Aardvarking, 10 points. The two engage in some pillow talk, then after Grace gets out of bed, Fred watches Williams through the mirror as he opens a secret compartment and, thumbs through a journal, then puts it back as is. Mirror being used beyond its natural purpose, 2 points. Fred bursts in. He then slaps Grace, then draws a pistol on Williams. Typical 1970s Italian misogyny. Woman is slapped, 5 points. At gunpoint, Fred steals the journal. He reveals to Grace that Williams lives here in Haiti because he has either discovered or created a drug and now is sitting on it until he can find the right person to sell it to. Let's add it here. Illicit drugs, 3 points. He leaves with the notebook. We catch Robin in bed with the lieutenant, who receives a call. He relays that the doctor's friend is in real trouble now. Someone then calls Fred, claiming to be Krotz, and saying that what Fred seeks is not in that notebook. He claims to possess the sample and the formula. He tells Fred to bring $70,000 in cash and to take a boat at the pier across the middle of the Deluge beyond the village of Samak. We watch as the hotel valet informs to Williams about where the Wrights went. Cut to another Haitian ritual, or so they say. Fred and Grace land ashore. Fred explains this is a Haitian matrimonial rite, then leaves Grace here while he goes to conduct the deal. Fred is at the rendezvous point now, but finds only the lieutenant. Williams and the valet arrive now and search the area. Fred is reluctant to believe the lieutenant has the true formula. He asserts that he will test it before handing over a single cent. Grace approaches, and Fred grabs her and injects her with the serum. Drugs given against a person's will, 10 points. Williams finds the ceremony, walks through, and meets the lieutenant, who thanks him for the warning. The lieutenant says the drug he gave Fred was actually a tranquilizer. He asks Williams why he doesn't suspect Krotz, and Williams reveals because he'd found his dead body. He kept this information quiet because the killer wanted them all to believe that Krotz was still alive. They deduce that the murderer has been trying to sell what they stole from Krotz because he knows the formula is bad stuff. Fred stumbles dead with a knife in his back. Grace is still unconscious on the ground from the tranquilizer. The killer reveals themselves. Philip. Yeah. Killer's identity is hidden until the final moments. 5 points. He reminds them that Robin has been working with him, and that's how he knew the lieutenant would be here. The lieutenant claims that he told many people that he'd be here, but Philip calls his bluff and shoots him dead. He then flees. Williams takes the lieutenant's gun and gives chase. The two trade shots. Philip scurries off. He runs through the crowd and tries to steal the car, but the valet denies him. Philip shoots him dead, then hops into the car. The festivities have been ruined, and the crowd turns on him. He tries to leave, but the car won't start. Faulty car or car trouble. 2 points. En masse, they attack the car. Someone pelts a Molotov cocktail through the windshield, and the car goes up in flames. The crowd celebrates. Philip cannot escape and burns alive in the car. The killer is killed by someone. 10 points. And since he couldn't get out, the killer dies accidentally. 3 points. And why not? The killer is painfully punished in their own death scene. 12 points. Cut to Williams and Grace at the airport. She is leaving, and he sees her off. As the plane leaves, Gian Paolo watches on.
The credits roll, and the movie ends there.
Let's add up some final cliches. S is for secrets. 5 points. No extra points here because everybody's motive is crystal clear. O is for obsession. Extra points for the killer being obsessed. 10 points. L is for lies, for Philip lying about himself being Krotz. 5 points. And extra points for T is for telephone, for the killer making a call. 5 more points. And that's Tropic of Cancer.
I need to address something before I begin. As is the case with a lot of these giallo films where you have an English language version and an Italian language version, there are minor differences in the script, and they oftentimes change the names. Now, that in and of itself can sometimes be confusing, especially when I'm going off of one language, but I have different names on IMDb or on this website or whatever, but usually I adjust. Now, this movie, it was especially difficult because the IMDb page actually has incorrect names, and then it doesn't even have everybody's names. This was just really frustrating. I'll also say this. IMDb, when you go through the photos for a movie, they generally do a decent job of, if there's a picture with 3 characters in it, they'll tell you the actors that are in that. They do that for this movie, but for all of the Haitian characters, it never lists them. It's like, it's almost as if it couldn't give a shit to, like, these aren't real actors or something, which you'll have names credited in the cast of characters, but it's, again, the names aren't really correct, and so it's hard for me to figure out, wait, so who is this person? For example, we know the guy that Grace is fantasizing about, he's named Giampaolo in the English language version, but you don't see that in the IMDb list of characters. There's Jean-Louise, but I don't know if that's who that is. I assume it is, but then the character that Dr. Williams finds who dies in the ritual scene, he's not, I don't know what his name is. I don't know what it is. There's a character named Drug Dealer, but he's not set up in the movie to be a drug dealer. Maybe he is, but not in the English language version. And again, there's no pictures or there's no saying this is who that actor is. And at one point, I think Mr. Peacock calls him Ibu. Like, he mentions the people who've died, and he says, and then there was that horrible case with Ibu at the voodoo ritual. I'm like, well, that's weird, because also in the subtitling, it just says indiscernible or something like that. Like, they couldn't make out what he said. Take that and couple with the fact that that character doesn't have a proper name in the IMDb page for the movie, it's just made it difficult. So I called that character Jean-Louise, even though I have nothing to back that up, because I don't know what to call him. And I tried calling him the drug dealer, but in the English language version, he's not actually a drug dealer, as far as I can tell. Maybe it is in the Italian version. I probably should have watched this in Italian. I usually do, but I figured because they're tourists in Haiti, it shouldn't matter whether they're American or Italian, and them being Italian is not necessarily a thing. Like, we actually don't really know where they're from. All we know is that they're all Westerners. But yeah, I had to get that out of the way. In terms of the reveal, by the time they do reveal it, I was already mostly checked out. And so when it showed up that it was, by the way, it's Mr. Philippe. I was hearing Philip the whole time, so I'd written the script as Philip, and then as I'm going through it again, I'm like, oh, it's Mr. Philippe. Fuck it, who cares? It's him. I felt like, okay, we only saw him, I think, like twice in the entire movie, but it is set up. As I was going through it, and I actually had to re-download the movie with the English subtitles because there's so many times where I'm leaning in and I'm replaying it over and over again, and I cannot hear what they're saying. So it is set up, but by the time they actually pull the reveal, they just kind of wrap the movie up so quickly, which is a very Giallo thing to do, that I don't know how deep the conspiracy was running. So I know that Robin was working with him, but why is she like trying to hook up with Gian Paolo? That doesn't go anywhere. We see her hooking up with the Colonel, and that makes sense because Philip needs he basically needs someone to spy on the police department and get information. Okay, that makes sense. And then when we go to the rum distillery, where earlier in the movie is where we had found the body of Krotz, which again, they did not do a good job of setting up that location. And when we return to it, it's like, it kind of looks like the place where he found Krotz, but I don't know. They didn't do a great job of really connecting those two locations. And when I had first watched it, I swear they said that this was Mr. Pratt's place. So I was thinking, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, why is there a clue that he's got the weird eyeball thing in his pocket? And then it turns out, okay, also, hold on, I just realized this. So that's supposed to be a clue. And the clue is, but by the time you get to the end, when Dr. Williams has that little eyeball thing in his pocket, and he finds the statue missing the eye, and he goes and he puts it in, the connection is this distillery is owned by Mr. Philip. So that should mean that Philip is the one behind this. But they found the body in the distillery. Again, I think it's supposed to be that way. How many places in this movie have red walls? So it's already evident that he was killed there. So why do you need another clue to tie it again to the location where you're finding the body? It's not very well written. And I will say this about the movie. There are times where it doesn't tell you everything, and it kind of forces you to piece things together, but those pieces are just kind of thrown in willy-nilly that, as someone who's actually watching it scene by scene, line by line, I'm not even picking up on this stuff. So there's a balance between telegraphing some things, over-explaining, and then just tossing in breadcrumbs and not really giving enough context as to the audience to remember details as they come up later. But then when Dr. Williams and Grace leave the distillery, it does this really ominous zoom or push on Fritz, and it assumes that it implies that Fritz is in on this, which maybe he is, but by the time we get to the end, there's no explanation of that. You know what I mean? It could have been like easily 2 lines of dialogue from Mr. Philip that all of the people under his employment were working for him. Also, the freaking hotel valet who ends up working with Dr. Williams, who the hell is he? Like, he is, again, as far as I know in the English language version, that character is not given a name. I think it's the guy we saw in the marketplace that was always kind of really, again, suspicious looking, but they don't give his character a name. IMDb, or not even IMDb, like Wiki Deaths, calls him Hotel Valet, and I'm like, okay, I guess he's the Hotel Valet. Well, that's not a character name, so I'm not. Yeah, this was really sloppy, and I gotta be honest, I'm really happy to just kind of get this movie over with. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really like this one all that much. You know, again, it's not bad, and I know a lot of people who do enjoy this, but I can't really get into it. And the crazy thing is, I'm going through this line by line, and I have a hard time following it. Like, I do understand the industrial espionage plot or whatever. They're all after this MacGuffin, this secret formula, which, by the way, they do a terrible job of explaining what it is. But the back and forth of, like, I'm trying to figure out, am I too dumb to follow this, or is this movie not doing a great job setting things up? Like, the 2 characters who die right away, who we don't know who they are, and we have to then learn later, oh, they were his partners. I don't like that. Like I said, there was confusion with the names based off of what I was reading on IMDb and what I was watching in the English version. That was throwing me off. So Krotz is the guy who's
one of the guys who's dead, but in the IMDb, Krotz is one of the guys who is alive. Like they were calling the guy who was like Mr. Pratt, they were calling him Krotz, which that was throwing me off so much. Going off of the list of deaths.fandom.com, it says a lot of these people were injected with water off screen. Maybe that's explained in the Italian language version, but it's not really explained in here. All we get is that, oh, there was more water in the body, and oh, there was lymphs coming out versus blood. Again, this is what I mean by like, this is just not well written. But anyways, I can't verify how a lot of these people died, so it's going to be a little weird. And I didn't mention this in the overview or the review, but it's a giallo mixed with blaxploitation, and it's just odd. The whole Haitian culture is like both heavily fetishized and kind of viewed with contempt. So, for example, Grace's character seems to be afraid of the locals, but then she's also got the hots for this one guy, and so her hallucination is like these men reaching out to her, but then it ends with her hooking up with, again, I think his name is Gian Paolo. I don't know. It's certainly an exploitation film, but I just don't think it's that well written. Yeah. Let's segue to the GialliTally cliches for this movie. Post-giallo viewing cliches. The reason for the killing. Greed and gain, 5 points. The reason for the investigation. Police investigator, 2 points. And extra points for amateur sleuths, because Williams technically solves it too, 5 points. Bonus points. The style bonus. The film is fairly stylish, but a great deal of that comes from the hallucination sequence. All in all, we have slow zoom ins and zoom outs, crash zooms, focus rack fades, colored lights, slow motion, stuttering, this wobbly effect, I don't know what that's called, this sort of spyglass effect, again, I don't know what that's called, first person POVs, and a couple mirror shots. Out of a maximum of 25 points possible, I will give Tropic of Cancer 19 points for its style bonus. Soundtrack.
Douglas.
Yes, 15 points. Bad effects. Yeah, nothing too crazy, but there's some decent effects. 10 points. Final look. Extra points. The Deadpool, tallying how many kills and deaths are featured in the film. I break it down as thus: 10 points per kill or death scene for the main Deadpool, plus any stylistic kill multipliers, which we didn't add yet, plus the knife kill bonus. We have Douglas, 10 points. Krotz, 10 points. Jean-Louise, 10 points. Murdoch, they say he was strangled, so I'll give points for that. 13 points. Mr. Pratt, garroted, 13 points. Mr. Peacock, impaled, but ultimately drowned, 14 points. Garner, Who knows? I guess he's crushed, but I didn't see it. 10 points. Fred, impaled with a knife. 21 points. The lieutenant, shot dead. 10 points. The valet, shot dead. 10 points. And Philip, burned. 18 points. Red herrings for the total number of legitimate suspects in the film. 5 points per legit suspect are awarded. We have Mr. Williams, Mr. Peacock, Garner, Mr. Pratt, Murdoch, Fred, Grace, the Lieutenant, Jean-Louise, John Paul, Philip, Robin, and Fritz. Why not? 65 points for red herrings. Basically everybody in the movie. Flashback sequences, 5 points each. We have none. 0 points for flashbacks. Nudity, I award 5 points for ass, 7 for breasts, and 10 for genitalia. Strap in, ladies and gentlemen. We have frontal, then ass and frontal, ass and breasts, ass. And then the ritual scene. There are well over 60 instances of breasts, but I cannot know for certain who is a duplicate or not.
So I will just max out this section at 20 breasts. I had originally done 30, but I'm sorry, I can't justify this. It's really throwing everything off.
Breasts and ass. Ass. Ass and breasts. For the men, there are 8 instances of frontal and 10 instances of ass. Frontal. For the women, there are 6 instances of breasts and 9 instances of ass. Frontal and ass. Ass. Breasts and ass. Ass and breasts. Ass and ass. 497 points for nudity. Ladies and gentlemen, for Tropic of Cancer, I awarded the film an AZ score of 20 out of 26. With the bonus points for these, we have a modified score total of 160 points. And for the full GialliTally score, I award Tropic of Cancer a GialliTally score of 1,124 points. Compared to Short Night of Glass Dolls in first with 969 points, What Have You Done to Solange in second with 933 points, and So Sweet, So Dead in third with 893 points, Tropic of Cancer is now the new leader in first place with 1,124 points. Fuck me. I predicted around 775 to 825 points. And yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm so disappointed. This movie basically got it because of the sheer amount of nudity, and that was something I had complained about, was that it's just gratuitous. Like, nudity is fine, but holy crap, I don't need to see like 40 naked people in the same shot. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. This one I think is going to be up there on the leaderboard for a very, very long time. And this certainly might be the all-time winner. We will see. But yeah, I'm pretty pissed that this is in first place with 1,124 points. But like I say, these points certainly do not mean a movie is better or worse. Like this video, share it with your friends if they are horror fans or cinephiles. Subscribe to The King in Giallo if you haven't yet. And if you have any questions, thoughts, curiosities, or concerns, leave those below in the comments section and I will get back to you. Give The King in Giallo a follow on Instagram and a like on Facebook. Subscribe to the King in Giallo Patreon to see early access to the YouTube videos, exclusive video series that can only be found there, and to generally support what I do. Next time on The King in Giallo will be episode 27 of the Forgotten Giallo film series, 1972, Part 6. Then will be the third Giallo film directed by Luciano Ercoli, Death Walks at Midnight, released on November 17th, 1972. Thank you very much for your continued support, and a special thank you to those who support me on Patreon. This is Tanner Leeser for The King in Giallo, and if nothing else, I'll see you next time.
We found one of them. The man called Douglas.
Ah, good.
Dead, Doctor.
Bad.